Hi, my name is Lucas. I'm a music student here at McGill. My question is, this morning we had the head of Merge and the head of Pitchfork, and they were discussing about how the high rating on Pitchfork, how they think it didn't so much affect the how well the Arcade Fire ended up doing. So I was wondering what you thought of that win and how the media has helped the rest of you guys.
I don't know. It's hard to quantify stuff like that. I mean, I think definitely the Pitchfork is pretty, like reviewing stuff early and like really into bands before a lot of other people know them. I think that just among people who are in the media, a lot of them maybe find out about stuff through Pitchfork. So in a way, just being exposed, like people actually listening to our music, maybe even just because of that suggestion or whatever, someone at the New York Times or someone somewhere else, I have no doubt that that had some sort of an impact. But so yeah, I mean, on a level, it's just a way of being. The media is just a way of, like, who cares about reading an article about someone? It's really about music. That's kind of the frustrating thing, is that like you can have such a more direct response to something if you hear it. It's like, I like that, or I don't like that, or something in between. Whereas if people are just reading articles, it's like you hear descriptions of music, and then when you finally hear it, it kind of affects the way you respond to it, because you're expecting something, or you just have all this baggage going into it. So I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought about it.
Something about Pitchfork makes you just drift off into a kind of numb, comatose state.
No, it's.
Pitchfork have always ignored us, which I've been thankful for, because I feel like they wouldn't like what we're doing, and I think it would be. Yeah, I'd rather be ignored in that context.
I think that in general...
I don't know, for me it's just so, it's like, we've always been so much about playing live and that connection between people playing live, and I just think that like, whatever makes people come and see you, like whatever it is, then they're engaging with you on that level, and then they either like it or they don't like it. So, we've never been ones to like really... be that into marketing or whatever. So just like people writing articles and coming to see us or whatever, it was just a way for people to experience our music. And I don't know any other way, because that's what happened to my band. So here I am.
On a panel.
On a panel. Wouldn't have been on the panel 3 years ago.
I think there's something a little disingenuous about the dude from Pitchfork saying he doesn't think he has much of an effect. I think that that's maybe wishful thinking on his part, because I think he's probably a genuine music fan and started the site because he's obsessed with music and loves writing about it and loves trading stuff with his friends. And but the internet has become a cultural force in getting the word out about music, and I think the people who are doing that stuff have to be very, very thoughtful and very aware of keeping that positive and keeping that helpful and keeping it communicative and about increasing the awareness and increasing the good music around. And I think what you start to see happen a little bit in that realm is that opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and it's there's a lot of assholes on the internet. So it's hard, I think, sometimes, because they're starting to also negatively affect people's career. And I think that's really unfortunate. Like, the music they're trying to champion really does just need help. And in a way, not to be a Pollyanna, I kind of wish that people would write about what they love and write about why they love it, and not write about the things they don't love, and allow...
I don't know, though, man. It's not the government, It's like people got to write about the way they respond to things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like I thought the Pitchfork review of the last Jet album with the monkey peeing in its own mouth, I thought was pretty creative. I don't know. Thought it was
No,
fun.
absolutely. I mean, it's hilarious, and I read Pitchfork all the time, and there's great reviews on there. I just, I don't know. It's it's just a very powerful medium, and I hope it remains thoughtful, even if it's angry or even if it's dissing something. I hope that it continues to be thoughtful and continues to be not what the mainstream media does, which is like thumbs up, thumbs down, 3 stars, 4 stars. I mean, this is not a entirely useful way of judging pieces of art, you know? And I hope that
it definitely does impact the way people relate to art, which is,
yeah.
I mean, as shitty as the radio is, I mean, at least you're like listening to a song.
And you're
I
having
wish
your own
that the
experience.
Nickelback song wasn't on After. You know, like, Jesus Christ. How in the hell are they still going?
Good tunes and a lot of Jerry curls.
You guys have heard the thing, right? That the guy linked the 2 Nickelback songs up, and one's in the left channel and one's in the right channel. It's the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life.
Really?
You should check it out. Look it up on whatever, LimeWire or whatever.
But
left channel, one song, right channel, the other. It's pretty cool.
I think they've survived. I think that the survival of Nickelback is a testament to the amount of really bad cocaine there is in the world.
But I think that, can I just say, I know we're really interested in Nickelback's career right now, but the Pitchfork thing, like, or in general, pitchforky things, we don't necessarily need to blame Pitchfork for everything, or, anyway, it is, I think it's like I mean, this is coming down to other questions, but it's who gets to write the reviews and why are they writing them and who are they talking about, and if they're, like you're saying, if it does remain thoughtful and if it can be, a little bit more considered about who those filters are, because I know there's another panel, I think, coming up about meta filters and who, like, who's doing that deciding and what actually passes through and what doesn't. And I guess I feel, for us personally, is like I long for someone to criticize our drum programming or something, like not just the idea of whether or not we should exist, like, you know, because obviously that's what the majority of journalists are going to talk about, is whether or not it makes sense to make this kind of music. But and like, it's really rare that we get a review of our album that actually kind of, I mean, if they wanted to rip apart the songs that would be awesome, but instead it's the people who are writing those articles often have a particular perspective, and it's not necessarily the most open one in the world.
But like, I mean, most bands, most journalists, most everyone don't care that much about what they're doing, and it's just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
what I mean about
it's like you go to a cafe and you get a really good sandwich, and you're like, oh man, that was a great sandwich, and you go to McDonald's and it's like, that doesn't look like the thing that it's
3.4.
You know what I mean? It's like just the care that people put into the things they do, and a lot of people don't put a lot of care into it.
I have a tremendous respect for writers who can go into a concert and write well about, you know, music, and very abstract music. It's the hardest thing to do, as many of us know, is just to write and talk about music. Yeah. It's so hard to do. So when you see someone who you know, convincingly writes about a new piece that's really, it's quite difficult, then bravo to them. I hope that more mainstream media will do it more. There's still some, like, newspapers who go in and actively review new pieces and concerts, and I hope that they will do more. I'd like to see more alternative magazines do it more, because the music, I think, would suit the audiences that are out there for those alternative newspapers. I think it's just sort of bridging the gap a little bit.
But I think what I meant about Pitchfork, the guy from Pitchfork being disingenuous, is that I think he probably wishes he didn't have the effect that he did. Do you know what I mean? And I think most critics don't really want to have that much influence, because they don't want to be responsible for other people's lives and what other people feel about things. They're just expressing their opinion. But the fact of the matter is, when something's in print, it's in print, and it has a kind of totemic power in our society, and that's sort of the curse of the critic, you know. So I think they have to tread lightly, you know.
Well, with that, we'll let you go home and get your dictionaries and find the word totemic.
You know, like the pole. You know what I mean?
You want to give a definition now? I'd like to thank the panelists for coming today. Thank you, everybody, for the great questions. Thanks for having us today.